Ankit, you can start.
Great. Okay, let me start. Hey, all, welcome. Nice to have so many amazing folks here. Let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, here you go. So there's a link to the doc that I've prepared. I'm gonna share this in the chat. Okay, so this has all the resources that we would be leveraging during the entire duration of this workshop. So the Google Drive for the demo part of the session, all the notebooks, all the collab notebooks that we will be utilizing, they're all in this Google Drive. And the slides that I'll be using, a PDF copy of the same is here for you, for your reference. Okay. So this is the link for sign up. When I'll ask you to sign up, you'll use this link. And since I'm sharing my screen, I'll just systematically walk over each and every step, and you will use the appropriate link for you. So there will not be any confusion. One thing I will do real quick, I'll just change the settings to viewer because, yeah, I think by mistake, I don't want anybody to have any editing rights and then change something that is useful for others. Okay, great. Okay, so keep in mind that this document is the central repository that has all the resources that you will be leveraging for this workshop. And if anybody has any doubt, just feel free to ask in the chat, and Bastian is also there to answer or provide you the links if you lose track of any link. Okay. Okay, with that, let's start. So the first thing that I would like to do with all of you is to get to know all of you and ask you these two prominent questions that I have in my mind. What excites you about this workshop, and what are you hoping to gain from this? And the second one is, what is your current focus? Your work, study, research, or just chilling in general? A lot of people, for them, work is worship. So I'll consider their work as chilling for them. So that's why I included the word chilling. So yeah, these two questions. Just quickly, why don't you all just answer these two questions in the chat so that I can get to know you a little bit more. So I'll type in these two questions, and my expectation is answers from you guys for these questions. Okay. Now even stop sharing. So as I can see, there are 26 people right now. We'll just take a couple of minutes more before we kickstart the session and wait for the remaining folks. But in that meantime, I would definitely encourage you to answer this in the chat and let me know so that I get acquainted with you all. So the best part of this workshop is it's very, very small, tightly packed group of folks here, and that will probably enable us to be more interactive and more engaging. So this is why I think it will be a nice thing to know what your interests are and what your hopes are to gain from this workshop. Okay, so I see the answers coming. Vishal is saying building document handling proficiency using AI dependent of my tech team. Okay, nice. Study, chilling. Fabiano is saying learning about the capabilities of the product and its applicability. Okay. Archana, I'm a product manager and a PM. I'm curious to know how it works, and my expectations is to know using any coding knowledge. Okay, nice. Exploring new technologies and staying up to date. Pushback. Getting hands dirty on agentic AI. Okay, I'm amazed. All these are such diverse answers. Document extraction expertise. Jeff is saying he works in this sector and he wants to know handwritten claim documents and how ADE performs on them. Okay. Hands-on tactics, Gary. Examples, quick theory. Okay, awesome, man. It's like overwhelmingly amazing response. I feel super pumped to read all this. BipLab will be using. Yeah, please don't mind if I'm messing up the pronunciation of your names. I hope you won't mind that. Yeah, sorry for that in advance. We'll be using LandingAI for the first time. Anil, intelligent document processing with unstructured data, solidifying use case to extract data from different sources and automating supply chain workflow. Okay. Kiri, senior, no SQL DBA. Okay, nice. Building faceless digital products and services. Oh man, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm just peeking at your faces and names so that I can associate all the responses with the faces of the people. So yeah, feel free to open your camera if you are in a pleasant environment, conducive of opening the cam and keeping it open. But yeah, entirely your choice. But it helps me to look at your pretty faces and engage if you're actually understanding what I'm about to share with you all the concepts that I'm going to be highlighting and sharing. It will definitely help me a lot if I see on your faces if you're grasping them or not. Lee is saying everything excites me about AI and all the different tools. I want to be a sponge and soak it all as much as possible. Currently in software quality assurance, but looking to branch out on AI. Awesome, Gary. Awesome, Lee. Lionel Cave. So we have a Lionel here. Increasing my awareness and expanding my skills. I've worked for Oracle Cloud and helped large enterprise customers develop and implement their technology strategy across several vertical industries. Amazing. Oh man, I'm so glad we have such huge diversity in here. DBAs, entrepreneurs, MLEs, enthusiasts, PMs. Awesome, this is great. Nitin, very excited to see how we can use LandingAI. I'm a developer. Yep, yep, gladly everybody is becoming a developer thanks to all the vibe coding capabilities that we have using all these large language models. So the bar is actually reducing, which is awesome. What a time to be alive. Alberto, build products to help small, medium-sized businesses process documents automatically. Data geek. Amazing, Alberto. Okay, this is fantastic. I think that's a great start. Okay, let me share my screen again and quickly introduce myself, Bastion, and LandingAI. Okay, so we have finished the steps. Now, my introduction. So since the last 5 years, I have been focused on developer relations, building this function in different startups like Abacus, 12 Labs, Rockset, which got acquired by OpenAI, then OpenAI itself, and then Statsig, which recently got again acquired by OpenAI. Somehow it seems like every company that I enter gets acquired at some point by OpenAI. And hopefully that's not the case that happens with LandingAI in the future. But even if it does happen, maybe it turns out to be something great. But yeah, that's my experience building developer relations functions in these startups since the last 5 years. Uh, a bit about developer relations. A lot of you might not be familiar with what developer relations actually is. So I would never use the term marketing because there is some sort of attached connotation to it that says, like that implies things like uh, buzzword fatigue, something like marketing speak. So my aim is always to avoid unnecessary hype and to keep myself very grounded. So this is why I always categorize what I do as something like developer relations, where my aim is to help product and engineering teams to create the best product by lining up all the feedback loop thanks to amazing folks like you who always are willing to give me all that awesome feedback, which helps our internal PM and engineering teams to really create awesome products. And then the second role that I have is to find the high intent channels and platforms to find these devs and educate them on the AI technologies, right? Without any fluff. So that's the intention behind all this, the whole workshop here as well, to like have grounded, no fluff content and to establish real world AI practices in the field of document understanding, intelligent document processing, or whatever you might want to call it. Okay. So yeah, so a little more about myself. So I started as a full stack developer, and then I quickly got somebody's trying to enter. I'm just admitting the person. Okay. So I was saying I started as a full stack developer, and then I got really excited about the prospects of deep learning, and that's where I started explicitly involving myself, devoting a lot of time at the intersection of computer vision and natural language processing. So my research was at the intersection of these two fields, where precisely I was focused on the alignment of vision and language as modalities. Okay. And in my leisure time, I am a newbie crypto trader. So anybody has expertise in crypto trading, definitely reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to learn from you. Besides that, philosophy, AI, movies, and adventure sports excites me a lot. So if you're in the Bay Area, just, let me know. And if you're into any of these things, yeah, just feel free to let me know and we can hang out. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, Bastion. So for Bastion, why don't I let her introduce herself? Bastion, why don't you just unmute and share with folks a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. My name is Bastian. I'm the director of product at LandingAI. I've been working on AI product management for the past 10 years, starting from AI-enabled robotics for warehouses and manufacturing facilities, all the way to LLM-based document intelligence. So super excited to be here to chat more about AI, LLM, agentic workflow, etc.
Awesome. Glad to have you, Bastion. Okay. So I think I cannot start without mentioning Andrew Ng, who is the chairman of LandingAI. So the idea behind this, keeping this slide specifically at this position, is to shine some light on what LandingAI does and how does Andrew Ng's leadership influence it, and then what is the legacy that we have established so far. Okay, so you might have heard this thing landing. Sorry, whenever I click the slide goes to the next one. So you might have heard this sentence, unstructured documents into structured actionable information, something on the same lines, right? But then the point is like, how are we different? How do we do something which is different from like just saying this out loud, right? So this is what I'm trying to illustrate and establish here. That what legacy we are bringing into the world of document understanding and where are we coming from? So there are some important words to highlight here. High stake industries. So our focus behind unlocking value from all the documents that exist in this world is targeted towards high stake industries primarily, and real world documents that exist in these high stake industries like financial services, healthcare, legal, insurance. Okay. But although we are new in the world of IDP or document understanding, by the way, throughout the whole duration of this workshop, I'm going to be using keywords like IDP or intelligent document processing or document understanding or intelligent document understanding, right? Very interchangeably, although there might be some nuances and some nuanced differences between these keywords, but I'll be just for the sake of simplicity using them interchangeably. So whenever I say IDP document understanding, just, you got it, I guess. So coming back to what I was saying, in the world of IDP, this is a very commonly seen line. But although we are new in the world of IDP, we existed since the last 8 years, and we have helped quite a lot of enterprises in the manufacturing space with visual AI. I'm not sure you read the news, but in the morning, today only the news came where LandingAI and ABB have signed a partnership, a strategic partnership and a deal around robotics and around something specifically called autonomous versatile robotics. So super exciting. Definitely go and check that out after this workshop. But yeah, the bottom line is we come from a deep expertise in agentic framework implementation. We even contributed something called open source vision agent that produces vision code agentically, and it's based on an agentic framework to produce that vision code. And then we also have developed something called Landing Lens. And in this entire duration of implementing agentic frameworks and dealing with supervised visual AI in the form of Landing Ends, we have processed more than 1 billion plus documents and images so far. And that is where our expertise in visual AI lies and comes from. And this is in the current manifestation in the form of agentic documentation, which is our core offering at present, is inspired by all this legacy and all this background that I just shared with you. Okay, let's move to the next line. Next slide. Okay, one more thing that comes to my mind before I jump to the beginning of our agenda today. Andrew in 2024 actually coined this term agentic or agents. I'm not sure how many of you know. Yeah, you can tell me in the chat, like, let me just open the chat so that I keep an eye on like folks. It's actually hard. It's actually hard to like keep the slideshow view and then also keep an eye on the slide, but I'll be trying to like switch to and fro occasionally to just see if you guys have any questions. Or Bashan can actually let me know if there are some questions. But yeah. But
That
yeah,
sounds good.
I don't see anything significant as of now, so I'll keep going. So I'm not sure how many of you, by the way, one more thing. Do you guys have the ability to unmute? Because let's say if I ask a question, should I expect just the chat response or would you be able to unmute and tell me?
Ankit, they can
Yeah.
unmute themselves and tell you. Actually,
Okay,
they can
nice.
also raise their hands and you can go one by one.
Okay, nice. Okay, so how many of you know, how many of you knew actually that Andrew Ng coined the term agentic AI or agents? Just raise your hand, like physically, as well as if you're not physically, your camera is not open, then just, emoji. Okay, I see Pierre. I see Biplop. Okay, I see some of them and some chats responses as well. Okay, great. So it's, to be honest, 2 months ago, I also didn't know that he coined that term, even when I work with him and see him in office quite often. So no worries there. Totally understandable if you didn't know that. But yeah, this is something interesting. He actually came up with this word and a bunch of marketers picked it up and it became a huge hype. Okay, let's go back to the slides. Okay. So I will keep this view instead of like the whole slideshow because it will free up some of my screen space and I can also keep an eye on the chat. So I'll keep this view instead of like, but yeah, if you need me to like zoom in or something, just let me know. So he coined the term, Andrew Ng, in 2024. And what I'm implying is agentic document extraction. The word agentic within agentic document extraction is not just a word. The implementation actually is a real agentic implementation because of which we call it agentic document extraction. So now it's something to keep in mind, but later as we progress towards the workshop, it will become more and more concrete on what's agentic, what is the specific meaning of agentic, what is the spectrum of agentic in all this. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, so I've already explained that agentic has a meaning in agentic document extraction. It's not just a fancy way of calling a product, but it actually has a very concrete, opinionated, and fixed meaning, which will become clear as we progress. So we built this for developers, keeping developers in mind, and we built this for enterprise class workloads, which means that it is something that runs in productions at different scales depending upon the size of your workload, right? So this is something that you have to keep in mind. Okay, so today's agenda, introduction phase, we have already gone through this. I've already shared a bit about agentic document extraction and its agentic nature, but there's one thing. So right now, let's assume that you have to drop. There's some emergency and you have to drop off. There's one thing that I would like you to take away from this session, and I'm gonna, without any lag or delay, just come at that one thing. That one thing is in the world of intelligent document processing, just because humans have this innate intuitive capability of understanding the structure and the visual cues really well, they feel that LLMs or VLMs or natively multimodal large language models are also capable of the same kind of ability. But that's not the case. And as you delve deeper and deeper into the world of IDP, you would notice this quite strongly. And this is what the key takeaway of this whole presentation is, that despite all the AI frenzy, despite all the crazily significant advancements in the world of general purpose large language models, still we are really far away when it comes to solving any visual AI problem that we humans innately and natively are good at. And this is what the core takeaway is, that when you think about solving document extraction or document understanding problem, you have to always think about what are the most important pain points in this space that you can address or you should start thinking about in order to provide the most value. And that is what at Landing we are thinking. We have been thinking. So that is the one important key takeaway that I want you to take, that all these general purpose elements, although they have come really far, but they really struggle with spatial reasoning. And this is where LandingAI is building visual foundation models to overcome that spatial reasoning shortcoming or struggle that these models have. Okay, so now that this is clear, the next piece is where I will be focusing for the next 30 minutes is building the core fundamental blocks behind agentic document extraction. So you must understand the philosophy behind ADE, the core fundamental building blocks of ADE, things like what is data-centric approach, what is agentic AI, what is vision-first approach within ADE. When I say visual foundation model, what does that actually mean? When we use the word visual grounding, what is so hard about it? What is the difference between parsing and extraction? How does our agentic Python library is different? And how does it actually work? And how can you leverage that for developing agentic applications downstream? Okay, so all these things are going to be clear in the next 30 minutes. And then after that, we will be moving on to a 1-hour session where we'll build 2 applications, 2 agentic applications centered around IDP. And they will be from 2 different major industries. One is financial services and the other one is healthcare. And then at the end of all this, I will stick around for as long as you would like and answer all the questions that you might have. Sounds good? Let me again look back into your and the chat.
Can I ask a question, high level?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Landing AI, is it the agentic extraction, right? And is it comparable to what Snowflakes or Databricks would do, the end-to-end platform, which I mean, it may do other things, but basically it sanitizes the data, prepares the data for a RAG application or agentic or anything to be used. Is that how I would compare Landing AI to other existing applications?
Yeah, so in like the next 4 or 5 slides, this will become very clear on what are the differentiating factors that Landing AI has over other names that you have taken. It's not just in the product, but also the approach that we have taken to architect that product. So this is what you will understand. Like I'm almost coming to it. Yeah. So your question will already be answered in like a bit. So don't worry. Yeah, I'm just almost coming at it. But yeah, as Bastian said, the short answer is yes. Short answer is yes, indeed. So we do convert unstructured data into LLM-ready structured data that you can leverage downstream into your apps. So that is the bottom line of it. But how is it different then? Like the way of doing it is different. Where this, let's say I tell you that, oh, we are more accurate. But then everybody can say that, right? The secret sauce of accuracy is proprietary. We are like not open source. We are not even open source available, but we have like all these this proprietary agentic system that really gives you the accuracy that you need in these high stake industries like financial services and healthcare and legal or insurance or whatever. And by the end of these 30 minutes, as I said in the agenda, it will become clear to you where that accuracy might be coming from, or what are the factors that are responsible for that accuracy. Okay, with that, let's proceed.
Yeah, I have a question. So
Okay.
I just want to understand, when you talk about unstructured data, what exactly do you mean by that? Because I mean that could represent a whole subset of multimodalities, right? So can you just help us understand, when you say unstructured, what exactly are you referring to?
Correct. So in the world of IDP or document understanding, unstructured data just means all that you see within a document, which could be images, which could be text, which could be really complex layouts and text baked into it, right? Or images associated with the text, such that there's a spatial arrangement association where the text and the image are related in some way, and you have to infer in what way, right? So I'm talking and referring to all that. So unstructured, this is all unstructured modality, which means like for humans, it makes intuitively sense, as I said, but for these models, when you show them, it actually doesn't make sense, right? So this is why I said one thing if you want to take away from all this, and that is these general purpose large language models, or even natively multimodal models, they are pretty bad at spatial reasoning. And that is why they struggle so bad when it comes to understanding the spatial arrangement in these documents, right? And especially when they have a lot of images and there's a real huge correlation between those images and the text, right? So in that, and that is pretty commonly seen in the world of finance or healthcare, right? So this is where we are developing visual foundation models that can actually remediate all these struggles that these models have, these large language models have, right? Does it make sense? So
Yes, it does. It does make sense. So what I'm hearing is that, there is a certain subcategory of information types for documents that can be processed, but that may not include things like speech, video, audio files types, right? So that is not inclusive of those types of documents.
Exactly. I was gonna exactly come to that. So we don't deal with a voice as a modality. That unstructured modality is not what our focus is, because that's not part of document understanding or IDP. And yes, handwriting, text as a modality, vision as a modality, these are important components to us. And then we deal with all the aspects of text and vision, which may be like some sort of ID card, right? So that has image plus text, right? Some sort of form, some sort of invoice with a definitive structure, some sort of like 1099, 1042 tax form, right? Some sort of like medical image with like different kind of cancerous lesion images, right? That has specific meaning. So all of that. Cool. Okay, let's proceed. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, this is a very interesting thing that I would like all of you to play with, even before moving into like all the other building blocks. Here, just go to the slide and click on it. I will actually pass this link so that it's easier for you.
Yeah, can you please do a slideshow, because I cannot, it's very short on the screen.
Sure. So in the chat, I've put the link to this blog. Okay. So this is a new series that we just launched, inspired by the famous, I think, 1980s blend text series called Will It Blend from Tom Dixon. So he reinforced the idea that his machine, this blender, is so durable that you can even blend iPads and TV screens and monitors or whatsoever, your mouse, keyboard, and it will actually blend. Your iPad would break, but this blender would not. So inspired by this idea, we released the series called Will It Extract to really display the robustness of our product, which is ADE, right? So I'm going to be using, by the way, ADE, the short form, because agentic document extraction is such a mouthful. Okay, so here, look at this example, the first complex document that we take in this episode 1. It's an accident statement, and pay attention to 12th circumstance block. There's a specific visual arrangement here that is very intuitive to us as humans. Car A, vehicle A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all these checkboxes. Vehicle B, all these 17 checkboxes. In this, 1 is checked, and on the right for vehicle B, 2 boxes are checked, right? And as you can see, like this arrows also kind of give us visual cues, right? Okay, having said that, let's move further. So as you can see, like to answer your question, the previous question, this document kind of answers that modality question quite well. It has handwriting, it has spatial structure, it has image, right? So it's like quite a complicated document that has all those aspects and unstructured modalities, right? Even signature. Okay, now what I did was I used Grok Auto to see, and it actually didn't pick up all the checkboxes that were check marked. Then I used Grok 4, paid $30 for that. It also didn't kind of get it. By the way, all those chat links are here for your reference for later. It's interesting to see what prompts I gave and then what it shot back to me. And then I used ChatGPT thinking. And then the best part was ChatGPT thinking. It actually got almost all of it at some point, but it literally took like 2.5 minutes, to be honest. And this is what you could call some sort of like agentic processing happening behind the scenes that is emitting the right input after 2 minutes, 35 seconds. So I'm not saying like large language models are not helpful. They are. They could actually do some spatial reasoning here. But I'm saying, look at the struggle that is happening behind the scenes and look at the time. On an enterprise setting, can you really afford to have this kind of time per document? Okay, so something later to explore, but I quickly wanted to highlight all this and then go back to something that is really super cool, our playground. So on the next slide, there's a link to the visual playground. I'll again copy paste this on the chat so that you all can. Okay, let's do one thing. I've shared this document with you, right? So there's this sign up link. Quickly use this sign up link with me, and then let's sign up for the playground using this link, because this link will provide you $10 free API credit and an unlimited playground usage for all your testing purposes and trial purposes, okay? So just use this link in the chat that I've sent or in the document. They both are the same, and click on it. So I'll open a new window and sign up with you all using this specific link. So now let me create an account. Ankit Khare. LandingAI and create account. It's going to my email. I'll just check the code and write it. 504243. Just use some password. Save it. Yeah, you can join with Google account, no worries there. I'm just doing it because I just want to do like that. No specific reason. Okay, skipping the pricing, which you can later explore. And going to this agentic document extraction section. So I'll click on it and I'll start exploring. Okay, so I see this new, neat, beautiful looking UX, right? On the left, you have 2 products, and we're going to explore agentic document extraction for today. This is showing your credits. This is where your API key resides. So later when we are building, this is where you will fetch your API key from. So you'll just go and copy from here. And if you want to refer to the documentation, this opens up the documentation. Cool. Okay, going back to the product, agentic document extraction. Here are some sample files. You can upload your file using this, or you can just drop it here directly, and it will start parsing. Okay, so what I would like you all to do is click on this accident statement. We saw in that, right? And look at here. If you click, it will automatically go to this section. So within the markdown, as you can see, it's able to parse the checkboxes accurately. For vehicle B also, it is able to grab all this pretty fast, pretty accurately, right?
Nice.
Yeah. Similarly, in the JSON, same thing. You click and it traces back. This is what we call visual grounding, by the way, right? So in the agenda slide, you had something called visual grounding, right? So this is what exactly is visual grounding. It's bounding box provenance that enhances the audibility, and that is something that is hard to do and really appreciated by enterprises who are involved in document understanding. Giri, are you saying something?
Are you using any Python package to develop this? Or what kind of things
Yeah,
that
we will come to that. Yeah, during the development phase, you'll develop using Python library for like almost an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is just a playground that is ready made for you so that you can try and test your complicated
This
documents.
is awesome, man. It's pretty awesome. It's nice.
Yeah, thanks to our PMs who design all this with the designers, and thanks to our R&D team who actually did all the research and engineering work. So yeah, appreciate it, your liking for this. Okay, let's come back to all this. So as you can see, like all the bounding box information is there, page information is there, chunk ID is there. Every chunk ID is unique and corresponds to one chunk here, right? Okay, extract. Let's say you want to extract the name, full name, address, zip code, some specific field. So you can just add those specific fields here. So it's like providing a schema and then clicking, and then when you run that, it will quickly extract all that for you on the fly. Okay. So using the playground, what you can do is you can build your schema using prompt engineering. So if I click here, if I click on start over, see here.
Sorry, sorry to cut you off. Let's say if that documents has encrypted things, right? Will you be able to extract if it's encrypted like SSN and other PA information?
Yep. So there's a dedicated section in the documentation, zero data retention, ZDR, the PI information and all that is there. In the pricing or billing, there's some exposure to all that. We also provide VPC, VPL, and even on-prem. So yeah, all that is available. But yeah, we will go through.
There's a question around visual grounding. Maybe you can also highlight that.
Yeah, visual grounding here in the parse. Let's see. So by default, as you can see, all the chunks were highlighted until I clicked on one, right? Which means all these chunks, let's say I clear selection. You see everything is highlighted. This is text, green one, figure, pink one is figures, right? This is also figure, right? You have marginalia, which means in the header and footer section. So these are chunks, and these are visually grounded, right? So as you can see, this is this box, this is visually grounding this information. So downstream, let's say your application needs to leverage all this information. That's what enables your application to leverage it. All this structural information that is baked it into the outcome, right? So if you see the JSON here, all the structural information is baked in, and that gets supplied to downstream models like LLMs, let's say. And then you feed this to an LLM and you will be able to chat with it, right? So think of it like using RAG, you can treat it as like you can create a knowledge base using all this structured JSON for different documents that you have. And then you can do a lot of cool things over and above the structured JSON, right? Okay, like for example, in this, you might want to calculate how many boxes were checked and have some statistical measure over 100 or so documents, right? So all that downstream processing you can do by feeding in all this information from all those different documents, right, with the same layout. So this is just one example that I made on the fly. Yeah, I will shoot the sign in link again. So this is the doc that has all the links, including the sign up, right? And within this doc, you will find this sign up link here. Okay.
Ankit, can you please share the document again? Sorry, I joined late, so I don't have the document.
Yeah, it's in the chat and the Zoom chat.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's go back to the playground here. Okay. So I've explained visual grounding. I've explained how this JSON works and how you can leverage it downstream. Extraction, I've already explained, but just to reiterate once more, our playground lets you create your schema on the fly if you don't already have one, right? So you can prompt it to create your schema from scratch. Yeah, so you can play in your later for this. But yeah, since we have to cover a lot of things, I'll just move quickly and not show this right now.
Yeah,
But yeah,
just a quick question. When I look at the other objects like the figures for the drawings and the signatures, it appears as though during the parsing process, it actually describes what those objects are, but doesn't actually provide a replica of what the object is, right? So there's no like height, weight, distances in the measurements actually like reproduce that. So how would you go about describing that function? Because it gives you a description of it, but it doesn't allow you to actually pull the object in itself.
So what do you mean call the object? Like, I'm not understanding the need to call the
Like the
object.
signature, for example, how would you be able to extract that signature and reproduce it?
Oh, I see what you mean. I see. Okay, so what you do, the library or the API, it allows you to store these images and chunks, right?
Okay.
So you can like fetch it as per your convenience and need downstream, or you can create workflows that can inculcate fetching them depending upon some heuristics or rules that you might have created. Yeah, same
Okay.
in writing.
Yeah,
You
because for something like that, I would have expected it maybe to actually store the actual pixels that created the signature or the drawing rather than a description of it. It could give me
no.
like the actual pixels and
Yeah, no, the pixel information is not stored because
okay.
I cannot imagine a use case where you will need a pixel information because you are not reconstructing the signature, right? What you are doing is
Okay.
just retrieving the signature, right? So same with other kind of things like ID cards, you just retrieve them or some information that is baked into them for the downstream.
Okay.
So like, for example, the rotation angle, all this information is here summarized for you, which you can leverage downstream.
All right. Thank
This will
you.
all become extremely clear once we go in the demo phase and then we use the Python library. It'll all become super crystal clear. But yeah, thanks for the questions. Yeah. The last is this chat. As I said, like when you feed the structured JSON, you can start chatting with it. So that's what this playground also is letting you do. Okay, let's go back. Now that you have got acquainted with the playground and how it looks like, let's go back to the slides.
Ankit, quick question.
Yeah.
You use your own LLM model for this one, or leveraging any open LLM models for this one?
Yeah, so everything is proprietary and everything is somehow our own. So we curate very high quality data sets to train our own visual foundation models. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
correct. But the 30 minutes, next 30 minutes, everything is going to become like super intuitive and clear on like how we are approaching this problem and why is it agentic? How is it agentic? Right? What could be the modules behind it? So these things will become clear. So yeah.
This will be a perfect example for claim processing and very nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
let's go back to the slides. This is a link to Python library. Later we will be using it. And documentation. Okay, again, building the foundations for ADE. So you might or might not know Jan LeCun. He's a big LLM critique in the whole AI world. He's known for being an LLM critique. But why did I keep this slide here? I'll go to the slideshow. There's a very specific reason to that. So just give me 1 second. Okay, the reason is he says that LLMs are useful, but they are an off-ramp when it comes to human level AI or AGI, right? And he advises students to not pursue PhD in this direction. Because if you are trying to develop human level AI, then this is not the direction to pursue. So this is quite interesting. By the way, this is quite funny, like the way he crisscrosses his hands and said, do not work on LLM. But anyways, the point here is within the realm of intelligent document processing or document understanding, this is fairly reasonable to say that you cannot rely on the power of LLMs exclusively and say that, hey, we have solved the document understanding problem, right? Not even like a bit, because inherently document understanding is a visual AI problem where documents are actually visual artifacts if you think very, very carefully about it. So this is what I'm trying to imply here, that if you think that LLMs have solved this problem, that's not the case. But if you're already in the world of IDP, then probably you don't have much question on that. Second thing, what Andrew says about AGI and emergent properties that arises from the development in the area of large language models, right? So all these emergent abilities that arises from all these large language models, a lot of it has something to do with the fact that they're very metric driven, and all these changes appears to pop out of nowhere all of a sudden, right? Because of the crazy speed at which these models are coming out sometimes. When you see all these benchmarks that tell you that, oh, the SAT exam, it overperformed human performance in that exam, or some sort of math Olympiad, right? So it gives a sense of like these systems really being very performant when it comes to things like maybe spatial reasoning, or maybe like some sort of like hinting towards some sort of like general purpose AI. But I'm trying to say that all these benchmarks are very, very constrained, and all these metric driven behaviors, they are just emergent properties or abilities. And just because they are an amalgam or coagulation of a long history of AI, they suddenly appear to be like, I don't know, magic or some sort of dark art. But in reality, there's like this gradual, sustainable growth that happens behind the scenes, because of which we have achieved whatever we have achieved so far. So that is the idea behind keeping this slide here and what Andrew was trying to say here. So he expects AGI to be like, you know, like a gradual process, not an overnight achievement. But yeah, bottom line again, read this very carefully. Nonlinear and discontinuous metrics produce apparent emergent abilities, whereas linear or continuous metrics produce smooth, continuous, predictable change in model performance. So at LandingAI, when we are developing ADE, we are developing systems which are smooth, continuous, and leads to predictable changes in model performance.
So where would you see the clear distinction between ADP and computer vision models, for example? Because when I look at the model that you have here, it appears that there is some application of, object identification, localization, segmentation, and even to a certain extent, taking all of that to do some kind of, document classification. So where is the distinction between that and then the agentic framework that is being applied here?
Yeah, in short, what we are doing is solving the problem of document understanding and constraining ourselves to this specific problem. But in order to solve this problem, you need to solve problems like spatial localization, taking care of visual cues, and compositional geometry. So we develop foundational models that take care of these things, right? And then in an agentic system, that is comprised of these kind of foundational models, plus deterministic code, plus domain-specific models, plus even LLMs, and orchestrated very agentically to get the desired level of accuracy. So this is what the underlying approach is that we have taken. And you must think of this as like targeted towards document understanding, not AGI, or not toward any other domain, right? And for computer vision, that is broad. Like it's like it has that vision word in that, which means how do you make AI be as good as humans when it comes to vision, right? So think of it like as a subset of that problem that is constrained within the document AI space. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
And there's also one more thing that wanted to call out because it really brings a lot of value to most of our customers. Our solution is generalized, which means you don't need to train any specific model for any type of documents. And that has been a huge pain point for a lot of customers in the intelligent document processing space, because every time they added a new type of invoices or patient form, they have to collect data, retrain a model, and then go through the process over again. But our solution is one shot.
Very important factor, yes. So this is a one-shot layout agnostic solution that gives you the answer right out of the box within a few seconds. So that is the approach that we have taken to build this. Okay. So the core idea, this is extremely important to understand. So take a moment to read all this. Transformers are autoregressive, agent capabilities are scaffolding, language has strong priors, right? So I'll say something which might not entirely make sense to you, but still very interesting to hear. So we have a Discord community of 2,000 plus folks, and they're deeply involved in visual AI and document intelligence. And I often notice there are people overestimating the capabilities of all these large language models and natively multimodal LLMs, right? Even in document understanding. Over and above, the scaffolding of these tools like MCP makes these emergent effects even more misleading. So document AI, it's a hard problem. And I can almost imagine it as like a visual intelligence problem being forced through language pipe. If you think about the underlying architecture of these systems and the learning process that goes behind these systems, which is nothing but the transformer architecture, which is, again, autoregressive in nature, you would see very clearly that these models are just 1D. These models are just operating on this 1D token stream, and they're sequentially trained over internet scale language data, right? Which has very, very strong priors. And then in case of documents, these are not just these 1D token streams. These are not just something that can be represented by these 1D token streams, but these are some sort of like 2D scene artifacts where a lot of the meaning resides in the geometry, things like alignment, indentation, headers, footers, multi-column layouts. And when we talk about OCR, it flattens that topology. So what model must do is reconstruct the space from weak visual priors. And this is why spatial reasoning is such a hard problem. Localizing bounding boxes, things like preserving reading order, keeping headers, column relationships intact, dealing with tables that span across multiple pages within a PDF, composing meaning across different regions in a PDF. This is extremely hard. And humans, they do it quite effortlessly with gestalt cues, and models don't. And yeah, and this is why a lot of LLMs, they hallucinate because they have to repair these broken layouts with fluent text and context lacking reasoning, right? So even when they're capable of reasoning, the context is missing to begin with, and that's why they start hallucinating. So if you understood this, then you might also be able to infer to an extent that the answer might lie in some sort of agentic implementation, which is vision first, which is sort of like multi-stage loop that renders, detects, groups, reads, and validates, and then kind of induces a layout graph at the back end, right? which sort of enforces constraints and grounded outputs with all these bounding box provenances that you notice on the playground. So this is why this world of IDP hinges on visual grounding and procedural control, not just some sort of text modality alone. Okay, so now I'm not sure how much you grasped from whatever I said, but the idea is if you read a lot of research papers, then you start speaking like that. But nobody actually appreciates this kind of language and tone. And it reminds them of something very interesting, which is this scene from The Matrix. Matrix Reloaded, I believe, where Neo is talking to the architect who architected the Matrix. And then he almost like talks the way I just talked, where potentially Neo might have a hard time, but he kind of did really well in understanding what the architect was saying about the Matrix and all the philosophical questions that he had. But in any case, what I'm trying to say is like, I'm gonna break this down very, very systematically so that it really makes sense to you in the next 10 or so minutes. By the way, one more thing, it reminds me of this movie, Three Idiots. I'm not sure if you're from India, you definitely would have seen this movie. I've even like added a link here. So if you click on link, it will take you to the specific scene from this movie. So in this scene, what happens is professor asked, what is a machine? And there's this class of few people. And then one guy answers it very, very simply in very simple terms. But the professor really doesn't appreciate it. But then the other student answers it in very complex bookish jargon and the professor just loves it. And then finally, he throws the student out of this, the guy who actually described it simply, he throws the student out of the class. And then very sarcastically, the student kind of comes back and says something to the professor in a very complicated manner. And then the professor is like, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to imply? And he's saying, and then he answers, I just came back to take my books. So this is a very, very like amazing, funny scene from this movie where it's quite evident that we should strive for simplicity and not complexity wherever we can and as much as we can. So in this, for the entire remaining duration, that's what I will target. Okay, so I was talking a lot about priors, weak priors in vision modality, and strong priors in language modality, and then associating the architecture of transformers to process these two modalities, right? So think about it. Transformers, the underlying architecture that hasn't changed much since 2017. At the heart, what it does is next token prediction. It's based on that fill in the blanks problem. I'm not undermining or underestimating the profound impact that this architecture has created over time, right? Like all these things that we see, fancy document understanding, fancy like self-driving cars. So all that originates from this architecture itself. So I'm not undermining that, but I'm just trying to say that if you see at the end of the day, what is it? What it is? It's next token prediction, right? From language, from internet scale language data. Okay. And what are these agentic systems? The underlying architecture is the same in all these agentic systems. It's just there's a scaffolding because now you have a lot of tools like OCR, right? And then you can use these tools to orchestrate cleverly and get some sort of reasonable response. And that is where the effect that comes out from a combination of these tools and LLMs makes it sound quite intelligent, right? So this is what I'm trying to say, that it is indeed intelligent, but we cannot ignore the limitations and the capabilities of these, especially in the world of document understanding. So in the world of vision, where are these shortcomings originating from? So if you think very carefully, you have grammar and semantics in text. So text is more discrete, it is symbolic, and it is really heavily patterned, because of which for these networks, formulating semantics in the higher dimensional space is not that hard, right? And that is why they perform so well within this modality. But when it comes to vision modality and applying the same sort of algorithm to process vision modality, it kind of struggles. Because if you think about pixel space, Now you know text space, right? If you compare that with pixel space, it's so dense. It's so heavily, it computationally so heavy. Like one sentence, if you compare it with one small, let's say 500 cross 500 pixels image, it's like almost like at some level of resolution, it's like almost like 270,000 times more computationally expensive. And that linearly scales as the size of the image scales and the number of images and the hash of the images scale change, right? So what I'm trying to say is like, think of the heavy vision modality where these LLMs that are applying the same principle on this modality operate. So this is what I meant by weak priors. Like they have like this continuous space of pixel. Like even if you change slightly the intensity in some neighboring pixels, the whole meaning of the image might change, right? So this tiny change in this continuous space leads to such big impact. And that is why all this like spatial reasoning process becomes so hard for these networks. Because even in that high dimensional space, they're not able to really represent structurally all these things. So they have to like, conclude from this emergent semantics, right? But we humans like have a huge legacy of understanding the semantics. By the way, we get a lot of more input, not these networks. They are only constrained towards one kind of input, which is digital, right? So that's another issue. But anyways, I hope that it becomes more clear on why this is a hard problem and why overall this makes spatial reasoning as a hard problem. So when you ask LLM like, hey, where did you see this box? Or where do you see this text? Or can you count how many such blobs of rectangle are there? And can you give me like, can you mark the bounding box coordinates properly or sketch the outlines of these different figures like rectangles? It's kind of struggles. Like try all these things with LLMs and you will know how it struggles, even if it's a VLM. So these VLMs, they really miss regularly these things like indentation, geometric arrangements, and are miserable in like interpreting these kind of things like shades, regions, and then connections between these shades and regions. Okay. So I think I made it clear that how like where this struggle comes from. So now moving to the agentic piece of this equation, how we define agentic. Because agentic is, as I said, like in 2025, in 2024, when Andrew coined this term, he had some idea in his mind, which gradually evolved. But then a bunch of marketers really picked it up and took it to another level where the meaning of agentic kind of became very diluted and miscommunicated in some sense. So read it very carefully. Agentic means an AI system that can plan, decide, and act towards a goal by orchestrating deterministic code, domain-specific ML models, and an LLM that can reason, call agents and tools, and verifies results until it reaches a high confidence answer. So within agentic document extraction, agentic means the system can plan, decide, and extract and act on its own to extract high confidence document data in a consistent manner by orchestrating parsing logic, specialized vision or ML models, and an LLM that sequences steps, calls agents and tools, and verifies outputs until the extraction meets quality threshold, right? So this is all orchestrated internally, systematically by ADE. So now there might be some level of clarity that you all are getting, I hope, from like what might be happening inside. And then what is the approach that we have taken as a whole while building agentic document extraction for solving the problems in the document processing world? Whenever I click it. One last thing about agentic. There is no black and white here. It's like the shades of gray. There's a spectrum of agentic in systems. And we are continuously developing ourselves within LandingAI and our technology to make this spectrum more and more on the agentic side, right? More and more on the autonomous side. So that's something you have to keep in mind. With every iteration, the level of agentic within the system increases. Okay, so as I said earlier, there are three fundamental pillars behind ADE. One is visual AI, where we know where LLMs struggle, and we also understand why vision modality is hard, and we try to remediate it by creating something which we are calling as visual foundation model. So by now, I think it might be very clear to you. You have already seen the playground and that complicated accident format. You kind of understand that a document is not just a blob of text. It's a visual representation of information that was originally meant for human readers to really understand and decipher, right? So think of it. These large language models, they just came in the last 2-3 years. But the legacy of all these documents is quite old, right? So think of it, like when you think about these documents, they were meant for human readers to comprehend, not these LLMs to downstream process them, right? So that was the foundation. So now, in order to change that and automate this, what we have resorted to is a systematic approach, which we call as vision first or visual AI approach, right? So inherently, our systems are vision first, which means that they really approach documents as visual artifacts or visual representations of information, okay? So that is one pillar, visual first systems. Then the second pillar is, how do you train all this vision foundation model? So you have to have data, right? So we curate high quality data sets by following systematic data-centric practices. So this is another phenomenon. This is another concept that was introduced by Andrew Ng. It's called data-centric AI. So a lot of folks in the AI industry focus really hard on models and the parameters within these models and tweaking and hyper optimizing them for their specific use case or scenario, right? But the idea is you must think about data also very systematically and over time create data engineering practices that lead you to have high quality data that you can over time leverage to create all these visual foundation models. So that's what we have done. So our data-centric mature practices in the last 8 years enable us to train these visual foundation models that are very highly performant. Okay. Parsing and routing. So the next layer is parsing and routing. As Bastian said, we have zero-shot parsing of documents with high accuracy across any layout type. And then the output is in the form of Markdown as well as JSON. And the third, so there are different modules, like there might be domain-specific ML model. There's visual foundation model that is taking care of the spatial understanding and spatial reasoning, right? There might be different kind of classifications in these documents that you might want to internally make. So we have like agents dealing with all these different problems and finding optimal solutions to them. And then these agents operate inside of this system that we called Agentic Document Extraction to finally accomplish the goal of high accuracy extraction and producing this JSON. Okay. So now let me ask you again, what are these pillars that AD rely upon? Anybody who wants to answer? Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Vision.
Vision first. Fantastic. First pillar. What is the second? Anybody? Jeff?
Data center.
Awesome. Data-centric practices that leads to curating high-quality data sets that are leveraged by these vision foundation models, right? So vision first, data-centric AI. What is the final one? Very easy. Come on. Yes, Jeff.
Agentic.
Awesome, man. Agentic AI. Fantastic. So over and above agentic AI, which means like all this is agentically orchestrated to finally give you that high quality extraction with the utmost accuracy that you deserve. Awesome. Okay, it's been almost 1 hour and 11 minutes. I think we need to really move ahead fast to the second phase of this all. Okay, cool. I will skip a few things in the interest of time. Okay, so here, some features that are more relevant to any enterprise class user here. Things like flexible SaaS, VPC, VPL, native, and all these compliance things like HIPAA, GDPR, and zero data retention support. So you can, later ask all these questions at the end of the workshop by reaching to the support or just chatting in our Discord server if you have any such doubts on like what are the features we offer on the enterprise level, or at the product level, like what are the modules that we have that we offer at what pricing, right? So all that you can ask us later. Yeah, another diagram that is quite relevant for enterprise class folks here. Like what is the architecture of the whole system, and how it's engineered at the not at the internals level, but at the implementation level for app building or downstream building. So yeah, something that you might want to take a look at later. One last piece before jumping into the demo. Error analysis. So now you know that ADE is built upon 3 fundamental pillars. There's a very unique approach towards building products from first principles, and that is error analysis. Andrew, in his Stanford machine learning class, talks about this quite often, but mostly in the context of machine learning. But if you kind of get a chance to spend more time with him, then you will notice that this is something that he applies in different spheres of his life to solve problems. For example, in the field of document understanding, this pursuit of solving document understanding, we approach it from this angle, from the 3 angles that you already know, but with error analysis as a phenomena or as a practice that we have in our mind while developing this system, which we call ADE, right? So what I'm trying to imply here is, instead of manually looking at like instead of looking at like benchmarks, metric suites, and trying to come up with like the pain points or understanding like where the system is struggling, how we approach it is like really look at one of the building blocks, at the foundational building blocks, like the most important, concrete, complex examples where struggles originate from. And that's how we start thinking about like, where is this pain point coming from? Okay, spatial reasoning. Okay, what kind of spatial reasoning? Okay, geometric. Okay, then how can we like have instances more on those lines to really help model understand better on how to solve it, right? So think of like this systematic approach called error analysis that helps you identify the most important pain points and area to focus on the most important aspects of the problem and save time, right? So this is what I wanted to highlight before jumping into the building part. Like start thinking about things from first principles, especially when you are trying to develop something groundbreaking. And even if it's not groundbreaking, it always helps to save time to start thinking about things in a systematic way, where you always ask this question that what are the most important things that the system is lacking, or what are the most important focus points that we should have at this point, which will make the most impact. Yeah. So before I jump into the demo, I just wanted to give you a quick peek into our team who has developed this awesome playground and this awesome technology that I have been highlighting and praising again and again. Shankar, Dylan, Mark, Hamid, these are all our MLEs, and our VP of Eng, Daniel, and our engineering manager. This guy is heavily involved in Mingray, in like building the playground. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us, and we will be more than happy to like answer your questions. And our team members, they're active, they're really active on Discord server. So join that Discord server and feel free to hang out with us. Okay, with all that, I'll just take a sip of water and let you go to this link and set up everything for our agentic app building. Okay. And let me know if you have any burning questions before we start. I'll just stop sharing for a moment.
Did you put that link into the chat, please?
For sure. Google Drive link. and again, the document that has all the relevant links, including the Google Drive link. Okay. Okay, I'll share my screen again, and let's start with the demo. So this is going to be the hands-on session. So prepare your lovely keyboards and mouses to start typing. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of typing, but there will be some for sure. Give me 1 sec.
Ankit,
Yeah,
I'm trying to find this presentation link. Where can I find it?
in the Google Drive, in the same Google Drive link, if you open it, there's a PDF. That PDF has all the slides that I have built.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, sharing my screen again. Okay, so let's go to the Google Drive. Where the heck is Google Drive? Here. So if you click on this link, it'll take you to the same drive. Sorry. Oh, I made a mistake. This is not the drive link. This is the document link. And then within the document, the first link is Google Drive. So I'm going to share this again on the chat. Google Drive link, okay? So if you go to the Google Drive link, there will be a folder called Colab Notebooks. Within that, you have 2 folders and my lovely presentation slides in the form of PDF. Within these folders, you have financial services, 1 notebook there called 10K Auditor, and then another folder called healthcare, within which there are 2 files. One is the sample document that we will be using, and then the second one is the notebook, the Jupyter notebook. So everything will be on Colab, so you won't need to set up anything locally. And I think that's fantastic because we won't have any, wastage of time in terms of like setting up dependencies.
Can we run it locally?
We can,
Is
yeah,
that-
later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for whatever reasons you might have, you can like set up Jupyter, or if you already have it set up, you can just, in your terminal, just keep all these files, like just download this Google Drive and keep all these files and then start.
Yeah, I've got them downloaded, and I'm running in Cursor, both the financial and the healthcare Jupyter notebook.
But yeah, I would still encourage you to like probably use Colab if you can, because it's going to be easy to follow along. Otherwise, in that you might get lost.
Okay.
Okay, so here, let's open the first notebook. So what I'll do is go back to my Google Drive, open financial files folder, and then double click on this IPYNB Smart 10K. It's 10K Auditor, Jupyter 5. And then once I double click on it, it gets opened. And here's the whole notebook. Okay, now top to bottom, I'm just glancing. Okay, let's try to understand what's happening in here at the high level first. So you have a web scraper called Beautiful Soup. It scrapes from a specific link, and then it provides the link of a PDF after scraping from a specific web page. And that link is taken by ADE. So think of it as like a web scraper scraping a specific web page and giving out a specific PDF link. And then we are feeding in that specific PDF link into ADE. And then from there, ADE starts this extraction, its parsing process, and it parses everything. And then we get the output, and then we select some specific fields that we need and provide it a schema for those fields, for extracting those fields. And then finally, we get all the output for those specific fields. So that's the high level of what's happening. So let's dig in and make it concrete. So I will run this first cell here, pip install all these dependencies. So you can just either click this play button or just press Shift Enter. So it's installing Beautiful Soup, Requests Library, and Agentic Doc Library. So somebody asked me in the beginning about the Python library. So this is the Python library, Agentic Doc. So this lets you use and build using ADE. Okay, this is run, second cell I'm running. So here, just importing the dependencies, successfully imported. So first installing them, downloading and installing them, and then importing them. Yeah, don't worry about this. It doesn't affect what we are doing. You don't even have to restart the runtime. Okay, now this is like just a demo cell that shows you how beautiful, at a high level, how beautiful soup library works. So this is like some sort of HTML DOM structure. It goes in, and then the links come out. So if we run it, see, from this structure, these 3 links came out, right? So we are going to replicate the same behavior for a 10K ledger form. Okay. So I have given it a URL, and then now it will scrape the PDF from that URL. Okay, so let's run this. Here, it scraped it. Sweet. Let's open it and have a look at it. So this is how it looks like. There are net sales data. There's operating expenses, income, current assets, and a bunch of other things. Okay, let's go back to the notebook. So I will answer the chat questions real quick. When I click on the 10K, it shows code and it does not show the collab notes as you have. Oh, what do you mean notes? Just double click on it, Satya. Just double click on it and it will open.
Yeah, I think there is a step in setting like application. So when you click on it, it just brings, an option and then ask you whether you want to open it with a specific application. I think you have to select collab.
Google Colab. Yeah, so I already have it as a default. So this is why it's not asking me. But let's say
So what do I open it as? Open with?
Google Colab. So click here. It's asking.
Yes, I have it like this.
Oh, I see. Okay, so. Okay, give me 1 second. Oh, it's not giving that ready-made option to open in Google Colab. Damn it. Okay, so let's do this.
Download it.
Yes. So open Colab. You're already signed in, hopefully. So your Colab will be ready and associated with your account. So I will link this in the chat here. What you will do is download it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Open it here.
yes,
Okay.
you open it. You wait. So once you are in that link here, you click here.
File, open notebook. File. I think
it will go to your drive.
And
it will go to some sort of like Colab notebook.
Okay.
You just
I'll search. Yeah.
put it here. And then it will open.
Yeah, I think it'll be file upload note.
Yeah, you can do an upload.
Or you can upload in the Colab itself. Like you
Oh,
can,
okay. I find it. Yeah. Okay.
and here upload it like from Google Drive or here, browse.
Okay, got it.
And then here. And then it's gonna start.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Hopefully everybody's on page with me, on the same page.
No, it's what is this collab.research? It's new for me. Collab.research.google. I have to import there.
Yes, because it's the Google's offering. that lets you run these notebooks within their environment using their GPUs and CPUs,
Okay.
which is their runtime on their infrastructure.
Now I can see the notebook. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Great. Okay, now just run this first cell again. And then second, so sequential, you keep running this. And then this one. So it's going to queue. If something else is running, then it will just be in the queue and it will sequentially run automatically. Okay, so this URL came out. I already showed you the URL, what's in the PDF. And then now let's feed this into the ADE. But before that, notice how I have this schema here, right? So it's a Pydantic class. And I'm creating the schema, total revenue, giving description, total net sales in USD, net income, again in USD, diluted EPS, diluted earnings per share. And I'm asking it to take this schema and extract from the PDF URL, this one, these things specifically, and store in results. Okay. So this is the schema. You pass it in this parameter. This is a PDF URL. You have it here initialized in the previous one, PDF URL. And then you call the parse function from ADE library, Agentic Doc here, right? And then you get the result. Awesome. Running it. It's asking for the API key. Now we go back to Playground again to fetch this API key. So what you will do is, if you don't have the Playground open, you go to the document that I have, the Google document, in the chat again. I've sent it in the chat. And then you go to this Playground link, API key one. I'll send it as well in the chat. And then now I click here. It takes me to the specific page that I need. Copy from here, go back, paste it here, press enter. Your API key is validated. Parsing that one document, this one. Notice how it's taking it from the URL itself. So we have not downloaded it, right? So library is built in such a way that you can actually do that. Quite handy, actually. Now it's parsing.
Ankit, sorry, can you show where you paste the API key?
Yep.
It was a little fast.
Yeah, here. So this cell where you have the schema, you also initialize the API key. I'm using a library called getPass. What it does is it takes your API key like a password. So when you run it, it asks you. And then you paste it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think this is a cool way, right? Like our customer-facing MLEs, they usually resort to this kind of a way. And I kind of took it from there.
Hey, Ankit, so your class for the financial metrics, so from the document, you are just extracting or asking API to just pull these 3 fields from the document. Is that right? So if I have like more fields, for example, financial analysis, they need probably 10, 15 fields. So I would just create a class like this and add those fields in the class.
Exactly.
And does the description should match what's in the document?
Oh, good question. Yeah. it helps. But let's say, see this document, like, does it have any description? Nope. If I want to extract, let's say, total net sales, I can say total net sales in USD to help it, right? Like that, hey, it's in dollar, and this is the field. So I can like change this language depending upon my convenience. So think of it like the more, yeah. So you have to like give it a proper context. So whatever context you can give, you should give. So that's, I think, the short answer to it.
And we have a lot of companies working with us, and they have a lot of different, the format of the document is different, right? Each company has their own format. So they should, as long as I pass the PDF to it, it should read the format and have the document extracted, right?
Yes, you're right. Yeah. So
okay,
you give it PDF or PNG or whatever formats we support, and then it will be able to run the functions on them and then give you the result based on the schema that you have provided it.
Got it.
Now, Ankit, I would assume that it can also infer the schema from the entire document, and then you take what you want.
No.
If you don't define anything.
I wish. I mean, as I said, like the level of agentic increases every year. So at some point, maybe, who knows, if it's something. So generally what happens is enterprise have a clear understanding of their schema. They kind of know what they want extracted, right? So this is why like it's not something that is heavily demanded. It's, yeah. But yeah, a lot of like humans in general are lazy, right? They want everything ready-made. So who knows, at some point this requirement might arise, yeah. Okay, so let's click here. So total revenue, net income, and diluted EPS. Now let's go back and check if it's correct or not. Total revenue, which is total net sales in US dollar. And then net income. Net income is what? 33916. It's net income here. Where did I operating net income here? It's correct. And then the third one, diluted EPS, earnings per share. Here, diluted EPS, earnings per share. So I knowingly give it like enough context, but nothing like exactly same, right? But it was meaningful enough. So as you can see, it's coming out. Wait. I'm asking earnings per share diluted, so it's 2.18. So that is coming out. 2.18. Okay, so now
I hate to ask, I hate to stop, but I'm getting an error. Like, I'm not sure why, but I think I missed entering the API. If you don't mind, can you repeat how you entered the API key?
Yeah, sure. So where is it?
I right here. I'm right here, but
here in this cell.
I'm here.
Vision Agent API key. You just run it, and it will ask.
I ran it. Oh,
it asking?
It doesn't ask. It says module not found error.
Oh, which means the previous cells are not run. Go do this and click on run all.
Okay.
And it will like start running everything sequentially until the last cell.
Yeah.
And it should work.
Okay. So this is this container, wherever you are doing all this, is the playground? What is this called? Collab? What is this for?
So it's a infrastructure. It is a interface that is provided by Google, that is hosted on Google's infrastructure, that provides you the RAM, the disk space, and even GPUs that are available. So what you can do is run on their infrastructure all your software and libraries and all this.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you're not using your own infrastructure in your local laptop or system or desktop or whatever. Instead, you're using Google's infrastructure from their servers using this.
Oh, okay. I got it now. So it's like a computer, but it's not. It's like a system, but it's it's Google system. Okay,
Mhm.
got it. Totally misunderstood what this is.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. And then now it's asking me to enter the API.
Okay, nice.
I have a question on this, Ankit.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, so for this use case, I understand this is a basic use case.
Mhm.
Just you are like reading the PDF and generating the results.
Mhm.
But do we need to do all like it takes a lot of time. But a similar use case we can also execute in basic Copilot or any of the GPT models, right?
Mhm.
So what is difference? Like how does it differentiate in LandingAI?
Running. Sorry, I actually could not understand the first part of your question. You said what you want to run in OpenAI?
No, what I'm saying is this use case, which is a basic PDF.
Mhm.
This can be like processed and we can extract all the results
Mhm.
using different what do you call it, different GPT models, either
Mhm.
with say, Copilot or you can use say Perplexity or a lot of tools. A lot of other tools also does it. So how does
Mhm.
LandingAI differentiate? I mean, what is the
Yeah. For example, here
significant?
it says in millions, right?
Hmm.
So it grasps all this like contextually that actually these are in million values. So it will give you that. When you say shares, the meaning is different. So it grasps contextually. So that kind of spatial reasoning and associations, right? So if you see the structured output, you will have like all this baked in there so that it will help downstream. Let's say if you feed that structured JSON into a LLM, it will be able to understand all these missing cues it might miss actually. So it might think, it might not be able to make these spatial associations or contextual associations. And actually, this is where something like this shine because you have all these spatial information baked into the output. So that is why you call it like some sort of like LLM ready output or some sort of like structured output that helps these models to like go from there for any downstream task, right?
Mm.
So that's one way to think about it. But if you see that accident statement, like another level of complexity and different kind of complexity in there. We will go through another example. I think we have some time. We can run another notebook and go over another example.
And how to verify the accuracy of this LLM? How do you evaluate like this is a true? Because for this document is fine. So you have 1,000 pages of PDF, right? And you have a lot of financial statements or something else. Is there a accuracy or do you have any verification process from the LandingAI?
So we haven't released any public benchmark yet, although there are some external agencies that have kind of benchmarked under some specific metric suite that they found reasonable. So they benchmarked us, this ADE, on that, and the results you can find online. But we exclusively haven't released any benchmark. Internally, we do have some evaluation benchmarks that we use depending upon the kind of data that the customer has to give them a sense of like at what level the accuracy, the overall accuracy of the system resides, and then what are the missing points. And then we kind of work with them on those missing points as well during the POC phase. And what else can I say on this? So this is where I was showing you this will it extract, where the high level philosophy was the pursuit in your pursuit of finding the meaning within your documents. You can rely on things like DocQB or SROI for receipts or this docile. These are like some specific data sets that have like some specific task specific metric suites to evaluate the data upon. But then it's like for a lot of use cases, this might actually not be applicable, or it might be very misleading, or it might be, if not interpreted correctly, or it might be it's definitely not holistic at all and can cover some array of tasks that can hint you towards like some specific level of performance indication for that specific subset of document formats. But then overall, it's extremely hard to gauge from any metric suite or benchmark the accuracy of the system for whatever documents you are kind of expecting to extract or parse from it, right? So the high level is you can have all these benchmarks and metric suites to be directional as a starting point and kind of gauge what might be the performance, especially if you're comparing with some other models. But then the recipe in general is just put the hardest documents that you have, the most diverse set of hardest complicated layouts that you might find that are most important for you, and then see for yourself by eyeballing the most important and complicated ones to see if like you can actually the ADE is being actually performant on that or not. And if not, then can you remediate that or not? So that is like the overall recipe of really going about thinking about the level of performance of such a offering within the world of document understanding. Does it make sense?
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. But definitely there are some benchmarks available from third parties, but not us. And internally, when you come and do a POC with us, we do definitely guide you towards this process and how to go about it, depending upon your use case. And we are in the process of releasing Doc VQ&A. So AD's performance or Doc VQ&A. I think it will be available in like a couple of weeks.
And also the APIs are available to developers, the
Yes.
public APIs.
Yep, it's a public Python library.
Python,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, here, not here. So if you go in the doc, here I have a link to AD Python library and then helper scripts with some ready to consume code for developers. Okay, let's go back to our thing here.
So I had a question about the results. So when I look at the output there, how did the agent know to display the first column in the table? Because it showed the results for December 2023 and not December 2022. So how did it know to select that column and not the other one?
2023 December, 3 months ended. Great question. So this is where when you create the schema, you have to be careful of like specifically like, so if I ask it to do this, so it randomly picked one because I was not specific. So it could have, see, this is where it could have, so these systems are deterministic because they should be, right? If you, every time you parse a PDF and you get a different output, then that's not what you want. You always want the accurate output, right? So in this deterministic way, like the output that it produced was this value instead of like picking this. But if I would say this in the prompt structure or this description, then it should be able to pick up that. But if you don't, then it just picks the first or something. Yeah. So it actually doesn't have that much intelligence that it actually knows like, hey, you kind of maybe intended to pick up both instead of one, or if I should predict both because the user has not. It kind of goes about like predicting one, whatever comes first to it. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah. So the definitely, like, as I said, like it's an evolving system, not perfect. So I'm not sure what even the perfect answer for this occasion is. Like, should the system ask, hey, which one do I pick? You didn't specify. Or should the system just pick one or both or what? But yeah, the more concrete you are in your schema, the better the response will be.
Yeah, I just followed the question. I think that it's a really great process for the AI process automation. But actually, so you guys also have a QC/QA purpose for the auto detection or auto correction, like anything for the audit trail, like you can audit detection the error or give you warning or error or something kind of reminder, or you just whatever you have raw data in, and whatever you extract and show the PDF file or whatever the report file. Is there any detection or auto detection?
No. Generally, what it does is, I mean, there's localization, which means like you will get all the coordinates of all these bounding boxes. So you saw all the chunks, right? And you have like these chunks localized for everything that is in there. in the PDF, right? But then more than that, if you are thinking of, so there are classifications as well, right? Like text, figure, marginalia for header and footer. So that gives you like that positional information in different categories as well. That helps downstream for your use case. So we are building more classifications like ID cards, right?
Yeah. The
Or
question
table.
is, the question is, you have a single few pages of PDF, you can detect error or the aggregation or the total summation, it's okay. If it is professional, you have a hundred of a PDF, monthly billing or monthly receiving, or whatever invoice, you need a up to find out which one is error during the quarterly audit or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's UAT or QA perfect. Lab it's perfect, but where reality, the practical, if I use your system, you know what I mean?
Correct. So I showed you the page. So bounding box provenance is also done at the page level. Here, see page level information. So if you have like 100th page, it will show 100. And then if you have, let's say, this chunk ID helps, it's unique. This page number helps as well. So together, like you have like exact positioning depending upon where this page, where this chunk comes, on which page this chunk is found. So in this way, like there's no like, there's no like problem even if you have like hundreds of pages and you're looking to find chunks on different pages for different things. And let's say there's like something that spans across pages, then there might be different chunks, but there might be information in the captioning or within the chunk that shows that, hey, this is what is related to the other thing. So in that sense, even if it spans across different pages or multiple pages, the information within the chunk tells the system that, hey, this is the case indeed, and you should take care of it. Does it make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it, because I will consider if in cases 100% is scanned from 0 to 100, fine. If a case is partially scanning or whatever in the middle of a process is failing, is it loopback, or what do you do, rescan again, or how do you do with this loopback case? Yeah, you cannot guarantee 100% each time you scan document always successful or whatever, for a certain reason. You know what I mean?
So as I said, it's a zero-shot parsing. So it in one go, whatever your scan is, if whatever it can find, depending upon, like, let's say you have weak DPI in the scan, and it's like, actually, why not we do it? Like, let me show you.
Hey, Ankit, while you do that, I just wanted to share that I added iPhone sales, and I wanted to try to pick up both dates. And by prompting it with the date value that you were looking for, that was able to return correctly for both years, for both dates.
Very nice.
Well,
Awesome.
I added just 2023. It didn't respond me one attribute, but when I say previous year, it did respond back. So I think it's more on context.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So we are constantly improving on that, but then it definitely tries to do its best for whatever context, from whatever context you do give it. So which is very nice. Like, I think by not keeping that, I actually provoked you all to like try different things, which is nice.
But this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Nice. So this is my scanned PDF that I just uploaded. And as you can see, it's also tilted. And it's like a very low quality DPI scan, which has like different spatial arrangements with different artifacts like checkboxes, cross marks, numbers, right? And it's kind of doing really good on this. If you see, the values are not hallucinated. Everything is picked up. Nothing is missed. And I am pretty confident you feed it into an LLM, and LLM will struggle like crazy. Ask it qualified dividends here, and then see what happens. I think this was what I was trying to use for my Will It Extract episode 2, but I never got to it. I think I got so overwhelmed by work that I never got the chance to publish that. But yeah, soon enough, I will do that. But yeah, this is another interesting thing. Like, and as you can see, like, I could have clubbed this into multiple pages, and then it would say page 1 if I would have clicked on, like, let's say, second. So here, I don't think I have any example of multiple pages here. Otherwise, I would have showed you. 1 page, 2 page. Yeah, here, multi-page. See. So see here, page 1. So if it's, yeah. So this kind of like text helps it to like make correlations with the table. So if you have something like here as a footnote for the table, it kind of makes these correlations. Okay, let's move on to the second thing. I think the second demo, we can quickly go through that as well and run every cell really quick. So I'll do the same process again. For me, it's double click. For you, I think now if you set it to default, it should work. Otherwise, you can again upload it and run it with me. So are you able to confirm if you have set up the second document in the second folder? So go to healthcare and set this up in your collab again. And let me know once you're done. And then we will proceed. Okay.
Are we doing the healthcare?
Yes, healthcare.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
It's very interesting. When you first open and on Collab, the next document will open this automatic. Very good.
Yes, because the default is set now. Because
Yes.
now that you have opened it once, you used it. Yeah. Let me explain in that time some of the stuff that is happening here. So we have a CBC test report or some random guy. Yeah, it's fake data. Don't worry about the personal detail or anything. And then hemoglobin, RBC, blood indices, WBC, whatever, platelet count, some footer for the pathologist, information, signature and stuff. Yeah. So this is how the document looks like, okay? So let's go and see what's happening in this notebook. So it's an end-to-end workflow where again, we are doing the same thing. We provide this document to ADE, and then we ask it to extract specific information based on the schema that we have provided it. But this is more systematic in the sense like the code is written properly with like more checks in place, like input folder, result folder, grounding folder. So now I will be able to show you the images stored in the grounding folder corresponding to these chunks. So that will be interesting. And then these are the formats: PDF, PNG, JPEG, JPEG. So as like it's able to like verify and make sure that it's as per the valid format and then take it. And then here, there are some parameters that I'm like initializing for our parse API, like marginalia, like do you want the header footer information included or not, right? Generate metadata in Markdown. So in the Markdown, there's some metadata information, like maybe if it's rotated or not, or yeah, or the captioning for the figure. So those kind of things you can disable. So yeah, play with it whenever you get a chance later. But yeah, for now, just keep in mind that there's some parameters that you can always go and look into the documentation for. Pydantic. So the schema in the Python library, so it's like strongly typed way of giving the schema, right? So we are declaring this as this class with all these attributes, and then telling the model, like the system, what exactly to extract, right? So similar to what we did for financial use case. And then here, I'm saving those images and those chunk information in this grounding folder. So here, once you will run it, you will see 3 folders coming in, and then in one of the folders, the grounding one, the images will be saved. Okay. So are you all ready? Shall we run it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it. So pip install again. Pillow is just image processing library. Agentic Doc is our Python library for ADE. Running the second cell. API key again. So we will have to go to the same. So if you don't have it handy, go to the playground, copy, come back, enter. After pasting it, enter. It's done. Let's run the second cell. Okay, it's working. So this is batch size, max workers. These are, again, some settings in the Python library that you can change and play with later. Like parallelization, how many parallel workers you want at max for the processing. If there's a request, it fails due to timeout or something, then how many retries do you want? So these kind of configuration options are there. Here, I'm just making sure that we have the correct directory structure, and then all the directories are properly created and they exist. So let's run this. Making sure that the file types are taken care of. Just running cell by cell everything. API key is valid, no documents to parse. So as you can see on the left, you have 3 folders created, but in the input folder, there's nothing. So that is why it's saying no document to parse. So now what you will do is download this document and then put it in your collab. So download and upload it here in the input folder. So it's just giving you a warning that if the runtime is lost, your files and all this folder structure will be lost. But for us, I think it's a short and sweet adventure, and that is why we don't mind. So I don't see
Can
it
you
coming.
please show again what you did with the files?
Yeah, so I refreshed it and now it's doing. So what I did was I just went to my Google Drive. Yeah, so next time I think I'll upload it in a Google Cloud bucket and take it from there using our connector or something. But for this time, yeah, sorry that you had to like do all this. So you download it from the Google Drive, right? Put it in a chat. And then once it's downloaded, you go back to wherever it's downloaded and you drag and drop it in the inputs folder. And then you refresh it, and then you will see that coming here. Okay. And then now I run this back again, and it's saying no document to parse. You know why it's saying it?
You might need to rerun it because it still doesn't know the file name. Couldn't find it.
Exactly, because I have downloaded it again, and then the name has messed up. So what's happening is exactly what you is, yes. So we have to run the previous cells in order for it to have the correct file path and everything. So let's do that. Where is that information? It's here. So I will go run this. See, now it picked up CBC lab report too, right? And now, otherwise it was coming empty when we didn't have a file in here. And then now here, the file path is coming. And then now it's starting to parse. Good catch. Great. So I was hoping that somebody catches it. Mission accomplished. Okay, so now it's processing, parsing. And then here's what we have done for the schema. And then again, okay, it's done. Schema initialized. Now it's parsing using that schema and extracting everything and then keeping the groundings in this specific folder. So you see a new folder came inside. Click on it, page 0. So let's say if there was page 1, 2, 300, then it will have like different folders for all the pages. And every artifact of corresponding to that page will be saved within that folder. So double click on this. See, the signature is here. QR code is here. WhatsApp number. All the chunk data is here. Okay. This is the chunk information, all the JSON.
Ankit.
Man. Yeah.
As I could see, the chunk can be in a different order. Is correct?
In a different order, like as compared to what?
You showed us the first chunk file was a signature, but on my my example is a QR code is presented.
Ah, I see. Let's see.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, let's see what happens.
But I found the signature too. It's after, I think it's the first one.
Correct. So if you rerun it, the IDs will be generated differently,
Okay.
right? So then it gets reordered depending upon the alphabetical order of the IDs. I think that's what's happening. That's why your order and my order are coming out differently.
Okay.
Okay, let's keep running. All this chunk information is here. Extraction, metadata, corresponding to the extraction. Just patient name that we wanted to extract is here. So we did the field extraction, right? So we had the schema. So it has extracted all those things. I'm just outputting one by one the fields. So this is a chunk reference. Chunk ID not found. Why? Because this is pre-filled. So what you have to do is put in this ID here and run it. See, it found the chunk. So you don't have to like loop in, like, you know, like those double loops where you're matching one chunk ID with whatever you want to find, and go through all the different IDs of all the chunks to match one ID. So it automatically, the library facilitates it. So you just have to give the library the chunk ID and actually can find that from the ID. I think, yeah. But here, since I had to like find other information, I have like all this looping in place. Okay, here, printing all the information, saving it to a table. So as you can see, it's a dictionary, CBC dictionary that I've initialized with all these parameters, right? So from our schema, I got all this, and then now we are just storing this. So we are specifically finding something and displaying it. So now this is what it displayed. The specific one information for this patient. So you can have hundreds of such things in data frames stored, And then you can do post-processing on them depending upon whatever you would like to calculate, whatever statistics or measure or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ankit, I couldn't, my folder could not get passed. There
Which
was
folder?
the CBC test thing. It shows, and then when I run the agentic document extraction, nothing comes in. It says no documents to pass.
Which cell is it again?
21.
21. Here, this one, print the
Yeah.
external patient name.
Yeah. No, pass. Yes.
Oh, I see. So it's way behind.
Way behind, yeah.
Okay, let's
I
see.
just couldn't go beyond that.
So it's not I see. Okay, so do this. Run this again. What does it show the path?
It does.
It does? And then
It
you run.
does. And then
Does?
again, when I click on the parsing thing,
Mm-hmm.
it shows no documents found. Now it's like doing something. Now it's working. I did click couple of times and it's just like,
Yeah, maybe it didn't recognize for some reason the previous cells. I don't know. Maybe the runtime failed.
maybe.
But yeah, this should work. Like once you have the file and all the locations intact in place,
Yeah.
that should definitely parse.
So
Okay.
because of the runtime, it failed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most probably, my best guess, yes. I don't think it's AD library that timed out. I think it's probably the runtime, yeah. Because otherwise you will get some error like, oh, the API returned 404 or whatever. Okay. So in the output results folder, you get all the data frames stored. And this is the markdown stored. Yep. So this is the end-to-end workflow for a typical healthcare document that you see, and then downstream you can play with it. Like you can do, I mean, you can imagine like it's your use case could span from processing some sort of lab reports and then test results, right? So you might have all these hemoglobin level, blood count level, and then you want to have these health records stored automatically in your database. So you might like just parse and keep storing extracted fields depending upon like one field you want to store in this table, another field in some other table, right? So different kind of databases you can populate depending upon the extractions, right? At different locations in different buckets. So a lot you can possibly and potentially imagine to do downstream from here. You can automate some sort of like insurance claims, like you can have like these forms filled automatically with the patient information extracted from this report, right? You can summarize for medical literature, I don't know, some report using the summary that this AD provides you, right? Or you could have like some sort of clinical trial documentation. You can generate like vast amounts of documentation using all this.
That's very important because of the lab diagnostic sugar level is for diabetes. If you have a high level, that warning, the insulin will be immediately released, send the doctor to release it. So if you do this, will be save the time automatically and immediately approved. If you low level, they don't approve it because the claim say I don't reimburse because I already have a threat level. That's really good. Really good.
Yeah. Yep. I think you might have faced something similar. So that's why you have such real-time experience of, that's profound. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yes. So we have let me show you. We have a customer called Eolus Medical. So they are using ADE. So their pipeline, actually on the blog, there's a blog. So if you go to the list, the document that I have, I've shared all the relevant blocks pertaining to our today's workshop. So one link is the whole blog. When you click on it, you will land up on LandingAI's blog. And then there's some interesting stuff like how to build your document understanding MCP server, or how do you go about adding that vision component to these reasoning models through MCP, right? So all these things, you can go over these things. This is the one that we did. So the same notebook, it's just a blog post corresponding to the same notebook that we ran. Billet extract, you already saw. Smart 10K, you already saw the first notebook, right? This is the ULS medical one that I was trying to highlight. So if you click here, what they have done is they have created a chatbot on their medical knowledge base. So this is their report data or whatever knowledge base comprised of all the medical reports and different kinds of formats they might have. And then AD parses and then stores in an index database all the information, all that JSON that you saw. And then there's RAG, retrieval augmented generation, right? From the database. And then that's where you feed that data into an LLM and prompt it to chat with it. So whatever information you need, you can fetch it from that question answering a chatbot kind of experience, right? So this is what they have done. But yeah, feel free to dig into like what exactly are they doing and what are the performance measures. I think quickly here, their key metrics are here, 90% reduction in time spent searching for clinical information. So basically they're using it for like proper indexing and searching across the indexed medical reports and other documents. Source attribution for all answers. So that's the most important. Like, how do you audit? How do you make sure that these are visually grounded and you can confirm that the data indeed is true, right? So that's where this really is like the game changer. 70% increase in clinician confidence. Obviously, your confidence is going to increase by several manifolds if you have this kind of source attribution. Zero configuration required for across 400 sites. Yep. So it's like built for developers, as I said, and it's built to scale. So yeah. Okay, coming back to the slides. This is ULS Medical. And then I think this is my contact here, my LinkedIn, my email ID if you want to reach out, and definitely join our Discord server. A lot of awesome folks there chit-chatting about visual AI and document understanding. So you can join it if you are active on Discord. And if you're not, then also you can create an account real quick and join it. Yeah, I'm pretty active and I'm starting AMAs and office hours. So you can come directly and hang out with me in those sessions. And let's get to your questions and answers, whatever you have for me. And Bastian. I'm not even sure, like Bastian might have a meeting. She might have jumped off.
Yeah, I think she may have had to drop.
Yeah, no worries.
But I see one.
I
Thank
just
you.
put a few comments. I think the software you created is wonderful. You can adopt with any software together. You can adopt with SAP, financial module, MM module, ERP, and also you can combine with Salesforce, content management based on the invoice or receipt, especially the information structure. And also you can connect with any what I call the claim process, like a United Health Group, ECBS for EMI, EHR information for the claim and adjudication. It's wonderful. So increase the only things I'm concerned, just increase the success rate or extraction. If it's the more success rate you have it, the reliable customer just flooding in. There will be all the automation coming, agency, whatever. Instead of like RPA kind of stuff, a lot of companies use RPA, you pass or figure, but not high rate of successful. If you have really high success rate, you can go everywhere. That's what I really interested in your production stuff.
Correct. So it's built for high stake industries and production grade workloads.
Yeah,
And
everywhere, almost every industry you've because all the industry have AP and AI account purchasing, account receivable, and then you can generate based on data aggregation for the report, and also you can use a JSON file between the provider, receiver, and also the B2B, B2C, or C2C.
Yep.
That's how I see.
Yep,
Thank you.
sky's the limit. Yep. And I think you can be our next evangelist, propagating the utility
No,
of.
because you are not only provider, you're partner. You become partner of the ecosystem that will be successful. You can become part of, GPC AI or the Microsoft AI or whatever. You become partner, and you become a Newgate package. So everyone will try.
So the team is producing a lot of content for all this, like highlighting all this that you said. One of which is the upcoming Snowflake integration that we have for mass document, for like large scale document processing, which means like if you have like billions, millions of documents and you want to process those workloads, then how you can leverage Snowflake's containers and infrastructure as a whole, along with ADE. I mean, ADE running on that infrastructure. So as you said, like we definitely have such strategic partnerships, and we are trying to build this thing integrate this thing into the whole ecosystem. So I don't know who raised hand first, but who is the moderator and can see all this? Just can you please call out?
Pranav was next.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll go next. So my question is related to engineering drawings or blueprints or construction drawings and so on and so forth. So there are, in terms of construction industry or utilities in general, there are a lot of these type of documentation where there is text and then there is diagrams, and diagrams are annotated like many other industries. So do you have use cases implemented, especially like if you're building blueprint and you're extracting features out of it to see what are some of the requirements from the construction point of view? And sort of a general question related to that is, where exactly do you draw the line from the product point of view between like a visual model and a text generation sort of feature generation model?
Mm-hmm. So see, we have some use cases on CAD designs and such, but we haven't prioritized them yet. So I cannot say that AD does significantly well on those kind of designs and documents. But yeah, you can try. As I said, like throw those documents on the playground and see if it can extract something meaningful for you and how far it can go. But if we, so the prioritization, as you can see in a startup, depends on like what kind of use cases they're going after at first, right? Or who are the design partners along whom they're actually building this product, right? So as of now, like I think that is not something that we have prioritized because of circumstances, but at some point that might become our focus. So that's how I can answer. But the second question, can you repeat it? The feature thing that you said about visual.
I think it kind of answered the second question as well, which was in terms of like what you said is prioritization, which is the question was, where do you draw the line? Saying, because engineering drawing is it more a visual or a visual model versus like a text and PDF extraction model, right? So sounds like you are still focusing on those use cases first, and something which is heavy drawing kind of or diagram thing may come later. That's what I'm hearing in terms of your response.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. There's 3D design. That is a very different kind of a document. There's in the 2D space also. I mean, in the 2D space, you have representation of the 3D designs, right? I'm talking about that.
Yeah.
And then there's this different compositionality in the documents. Like for example, in your CAD diagrams, you have like these huge arrows depicting the size of, like your CAD design is like small and limited, right? But the structures are usually large. For that, you have like a lot of data, a lot of like arrows that represent that data in like inches or whatever, feet or hectares, whatever. So I'm saying like they're very different kind of documents that have like very different compositionality and requires very different kind of optimizations. So we might not have done that yet, but yeah, we might come to that if let's say a lot of demand comes in.
Looks there is no harm in trying, so I'll give it a shot. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. But what I'm trying to say is like you're on point with one thing, and that is visual AI is definitely far from like a solved problem, and there's no such general purpose system that exists that can be very performant on all these things altogether as a whole. So the way to go is like you break down these problems into different solvable units, and then you approach these units step by step, right? So as we discussed in the foundations, like how we are approaching this, right? Like data-centric, clubbing, preparing data for different scenarios, then agentic orchestration for these different scenarios in different ways. And then vision first, which means like we identify the compositionality from the vision angle and then see where these models like LLMs and such struggle. And then we try to curate, then we try to like train our own visual foundation models to like remediate those problems systematically, right? So this is like an ongoing process, an ever-evolving process that we have systematically been approaching and developing.
Thank you.
Yeah, who's the next one? Emily.
Yeah. Hey, Ankit. So far everything is awesome. I just want to know, because we have this application and I really like the product that you're offering. So what are the next steps? Because next steps, if you want to integrate this into our system, so whom should we reach? And
Emily.
all this. Emily. Okay. Yeah. If how can I get that information, like yourselves or who's the contact person? Okay, Emily. All right, cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Emily
great.
will be able
Yeah.
to let you know exactly, depending upon your situation and scenario, who you should talk to. She will orchestrate agentically for you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Ankit. Yeah. Awesome.
Who is next? Emily.
Anil, and then Jeff.
Anil, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks, Ankit. It's very informative. The session is very informative, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, man. So the thing that I wanted to do with this workshop is like not only just, tell you what this product does or what are the features of this product or what are the capabilities of API and how you can develop over it, but also like really build that intuition on like how do you approach the document understanding problem and why are the existing systems where are the existing systems struggling, and not just where are they struggling, but why are they struggling in those areas, right? So hopefully like it all connects and piece together and the more you think, the more you delve, I think the more it will start becoming clearer and clearer.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Like right now, the underlying architecture that it use MCP servers for agentic workflows and all those.
MCP is like across, it's like, I will not say agent to agent communication, although it can facilitate that, but it's more like, let's say you have an ETL server from Confluent and our ADE MCP server, and you want to do something where you feed the output of ADE in an ETL pipeline. So what you can do is like create through MCP a bridge to accomplish this, where you ask your agent that, hey, give me this parsed output. And then you ask Confluent agent that, hey, can you feed this in your ETL pipeline and orchestrate in this way, right? So MCP is like a bridge that helps you talk between agents, or helps you like kind of like leverage different capabilities that different agentic systems provide, right? So it's like a protocol that enables you to have some sort of conventions. So like, Cloud Desktop and other such pathways, right? Where you can like use MCP. So what it does is like, it provides that protocol to stay consistent. In that way, you don't have to like define the protocol again and again and define and like waste time in like making sure that these agents talk to each other properly. It's like done for you because you have a fixed protocol, and then you can just leverage it to like utilize the capabilities that whatever server gives you. Like for example, let me show you. For example, this where's the block go? Sorry, here. If you go back on the blog, this is the MCP server. So this shows you how do you build a document understanding MCP server using ADE, right? So you can like definitely give it a read, and you can probably create a good MCP server using ADE and host it locally and see how it, and yeah, you can even like use it for downstream processing by like, let's say, I don't know, like use some sort of like, I don't know, you can develop a chat application over this, or use some sort of RAG and develop a RAG application for some sort of like downstream dashboard that you want to build, right? So definitely give it a read. And for the high level of like, how does MCP help? You can read this blog. It tells you like how the reasoning capabilities within LLMs can be enhanced by having an MCP server for document understanding. So it's like if you have better data to begin with, like all that structured data, LLM ready data, then your LLM will not have to guess. It will have all the context to begin with to do its reasoning, right? So yeah, give it a shot, read it. I think you will gain something useful from it.
Yeah, my other question is that it has a Snowflake integration, right? The LandingAI. And say I extracted data from the document. I would like to join this data with my Snowflake, different tables, the different domain tables which I have. And I would like to achieve some kind of consistency between these two, and make a synchronize between across this data across the entire data lake. So is that possible with LandingAI?
I'm not a Snowflake expert. I've never done such pipeline construction, but it's definitely possible because, so think about it, like it's all downstream, right? Like LandingAI as a system doesn't, so in the library, if you see the Python library, you don't need anything from the Python library itself to feed it specifically in the views. Like you can always create different views that have different
Did we lose Ankit? All right, we'll give him a second to come back. I'll maybe answer the question around Snowflake a little bit differently. He'll probably give you more. Oh, there you are, Ankit. I was just going to mention, I think your internet went out for a second, but we do have a native app inside of Snowflake that runs on Cortex. And then we have a connected app. Both of those are available through the Snowflake Marketplace. And then, yes, you can like just send your data to Snowflake. And Ankit, I'll let you elaborate more since I can't give like the real technical answer there, but hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, that is helpful. Yeah. So actually, Andrea did a workshop on, I think he did on Snowflake. I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. I know we'll be coming out with more stuff, and there should be some Snowflake specific things coming out in the library as well.
Yeah, so I was just reviewing this article that we are going to publish on high volume agentic document extraction with Snowflake insertions. So in that, there's this diagram that might show you something like important. Let's see this one. Oh shit, this is like really bad. Yeah, sorry, I cannot show you that article because we have not released it, but if I could, I would have. Maybe actually when I was reviewing, I should have the doc. I can quickly show you something. Let me check. Just give me 1 sec. But yeah, the bottom line is you have your document, you have ADE, and that runs in your Snowflake container. And then in Snowflake, you have Markdown, parse chunks, custom table 1, custom table 2, different views, and it all feeds very systematically and natively in all those views. So we have built some sort of like native integration to facilitate that, but I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, the underlying engineering on like why it's performant or how native it is. But yeah, we definitely have something like that.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Thanks very much. And also, this LandingAI also can process the engineering manuals with diagrams. Can it do it like with say the manuals which are automated manuals, which shows the maintenance diagrams?
Not
for
sure.
automotive?
We have customers exploring that use case with us now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I cannot answer that concretely, but as Emily said, if customers are exploring, that means, yeah, definitely we can do something there.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks for your time and appreciate your presentation. Is
My
really great.
pleasure. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, I think Jeff was next.
Sorry for
Thank
the,
you.
but yeah, your turn finally.
Hey, yeah, no problem. Thank you. Great presentation, by the way. I really like this product. I'm just going to give you a little background. I'm a senior software engineer with a privately held property and casualty company. I work on a claims-based system. I've been in a couple of boot camps, just finished a data science dojo boot camp on Agentic AI, so I'm jumping into it real deep. I wanted to, in the first boot camp that I was in, come up with a proof of concept for a claims-based data ingestion and scoring system. So I wasn't able to get sponsorship from my upper management to use data and whatnot. So I just created synthetic data. And I actually used Accord forms, Accord, ACORD, which are the standard forms used in the insurance marketplace. And I filled out really detailed claims on this Accord, and I did it in handwriting. Bottom line is I couldn't extract it. I couldn't extract the text. I put it into your LandingAI playground, and it did a beautiful job. And then I started chatting with the extraction and the JSON and all of that, and it worked beautifully. So
yeah, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, kudos on that. It's a great tool. What I was using before was like Microsoft OCR tools, and it just wasn't working. This works. How can I without paying out a lot of money, because I'm doing this on my own, and I want to bring this proof of concept to my upper management to say, hey, we could save a lot of money doing this because we're doing it. We have a person that's entering these claims manually. And I know that my proof of concept will save the company a lot of money.
We have a number of companies exploring this use case right now. So you think you're definitely like barking up the right tree. So I think, yeah, it sounds very valuable. We have a pay-as-you-go model on our website. So once you run out of, like right now, you have $10 in free credits. That should get you like to a decent place. You can swipe your credit card for another 20 and probably run, a few hundred, maybe a few thousand more documents. I would say those are probably the best ways to do it, at least to get started. And we're happy to support you if you want to reach out to me. But the intent behind having that self-service is to facilitate, like, just get going, just try it, just, show the value. And then beyond that, like we'll do whatever we can to help you, but it should be really easy, at least to get started, and very affordable. One of the things that's coming with our new APIs, so we have a beta, or 2 new APIs that are in beta right now. We have split parse and extract so that people can parse once, extract multiple times. So I share that just because by doing this, we are trying to lower the cost even further for customers, because this will allow them to use it for different things, maybe try new things, and make it much more affordable. So we definitely do all of those things with the customers in mind, but just know that is coming. So what it is today will get even better going forward. And if you want to try those new APIs, you can find more information in the docs that Ankit has shared.
Okay, and so is that something, because the company is really concerned about privacy?
So yeah, zero data retention. I'll share in the chat, and Ankit, tell me to be quiet if you want me to, but we have a trust center that talks about the security
and compliance, yes.
Yeah, security and compliance. But we also have zero data retention, which you can turn on. And so there's more details like on what that means out here, but essentially we don't keep any of your data. And I think it just depends on the type of data that you would be sending. You just need to look into determining whether or not that is sufficient. We are finding that for a lot of people, zero data retention is. Then we have, other people who have to deal with GDPR and other things. So we are trying to suit a variety of different requirements. And then on top of that, so our solution is a SaaS-based, but for larger enterprise customers, we are offering them to use their own virtual private cloud, essentially. So it's not in the public cloud. So if that becomes something that they're interested in longer term, let us know.
That was my next question, the data pipeline. If we wanted to keep that and just call your API and have it do the extraction and all of that, we can do that, right?
Ankit?
I was just gonna say, tables is our strong suite. Sorry, strong suit. Neat. So,
yeah, obviously.
We are extremely excited for any use cases that includes tables, forms, and we have worked hard on really improving the performance on such docs that contains a lot of complex tables. So, I mean, it's gonna be soon. When is it, Emily, the announcement? 2.0?
On the additional features that are coming out beyond the API split. I think next week. So breaking news, you guys will hear it before other people. There is going to be a press release coming from Andrew in the next week or two with some additional features that are coming out. But yeah, one of them will be around some table improvements. I think there'll be some new file types, document splitting capabilities, and I'll think of like the other things, but there'll be some features that have been in demand from some of our current customers. So I think we'll have a lot of people that are pretty excited about it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That's another differentiation, Jeff. Like tables are very prevalent and very like pervasive in the world of document understanding, right? And you cannot do good without them. So this is why we prioritized it and made sure that we solve some of that problem that arises because of all these complicated tables. And obviously, as you said, LLMs don't work well on these tables because think of it like from the angle of what I just said, structure, merged cells, different kind of column layouts, spanning across different kind of area, width. And then like even in research papers, which is like quite commonly seen format in the world of document understanding because it's open source, right? Like all these archive papers are there and you get all these similar kind of looking formats. Even there you would see like LLM struggling. But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that even if they are struggling there, which is like a lot of open source data available in those formats, then can you imagine what will happen in closed source space where like all these financial services and healthcare sectors, you don't have that much data outside. Actually, well, I take it back. You have data, but that's even more complicated, I'm saying. I mean, these days people like scrape all sorts of data from all sorts of, shady areas. But what I'm trying to say is like, they are far more complicated than those research paper or table formats. So I'm saying like if LLMs are struggling there, then you can imagine what will they do here. And the reason again, like you can go back to the same the same timestamp in this recording that we will provide you later and start thinking about relating it to like how spatial arrangement in table can be complex for LLMs. in the higher dimensional space to map, and then, yeah, all those things. But yeah, I'm just trying to say, like, this is another visual AI, spatial reasoning kind of a thing, where we have deeply thought about this and started tackling this quite early.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, anybody else? Any last departing questions and notes?
Maybe last stupid question. If a landing AI can insert a vector DB, would be for future, it'd be great.
What do you mean insert? Like, you mean like creating some sort of
Yeah, because currently Oracle is do the vector DB instead of a traditional vector. You the A to Z, just one layer. Yeah, do the stack of layer. So insert the data, you can search quickly, and then you can insert the data, not the XY coordinate, like a relational database. If you can combine the two popular topic, you save the data, would be great, because search, you can search all the similarity search or whatever, you save the data, you save it, and also you can retrieve the data for similarity or create some auto templates. You know what I mean? Or some genetic pattern analysis also. It's like
yeah, downstream RAG. I mean, RAG is a natural extension to the output that we have. But as you can imagine, right, like the focus is in making the model more and more accurate and covering an array of things, an array of formats and documents, right? So I think that is where currently our focus has been, not as much on like plugins and integrations and vector DB, but in the future, definitely when we feel like, yeah, this has reached a great level of accuracy for a wide array of diverse layouts and documents in different industries, I think we would definitely want to like start thinking about other integrations.
Is the speed coming in the accuracy, because you already have data, to verify, and also the speed insertion, especially instead of SQL Server, Oracle, whatever, MongoDB for the kind of JSON stream, you already have layer and insertion, retrieving, or whatever stuff. I'm just crazy idea. I just see
No,
a previous age.
Yeah, it completely makes sense. Like if you can develop native, like for example, for Snowflake, the work that we have done, that work only because we want that speed. We want like that native support that only can come if you have, sorry, that speed that only can come if you have native support, right? So this is where you develop all these integrations that leads to that kind of a speed and scale.
Thank you, I appreciate it, because that's what I mentioned. It's a reality for the claim. That's a lot. In the batch file was 1 million or whatever, so enrollments 1 million. Speed is very critical.
Yeah, I will definitely let you know when we release that high volume agentic document extraction with Snowflake blog. I think you would enjoy reading it. And the other guy also, what's his name? I forgot, but yeah, I'll let you guys know.
Is Snowflake the only vendor or database at scale that you're integrated with at this moment?
I think so, Emily, if I'm not missing anything.
I mean, I will say we're coming out with more and more connectors, if that makes sense. And we can connect to anything. So I think reach out, go on Discord. Like you may find that, hey, somebody's already done this and may even be willing to share like any of the code or whatever to help do that. Our SaaS solution, everything you see running on the playground, the API to date that you guys have tested is all running on AWS behind the scenes. We will be out on their marketplace. So if you're asking about like, where we integrate, we work with all 3 clouds. And so I think it just matters on, depends on what you want to do next, but you're not limited by what we've done to date, if that makes sense.
So there's an ingestion from S3 bucket possible. So next time in my workshop, I'll just keep those kind of these kind of documents in those buckets, and then I'll use that kind of ingestion pipeline instead of like having to go through that manual upload process that we did today. So we do have support. So if you go into documentation, you will know how to pick files and documents from S3 connectors, from S3 buckets using our connector. And then we have Google Drive integration as well. Then we have, as I showed you, like directly from the URL, you picked up the PDF without having to download that, right? So that is something that the library supports. And yeah, so these kind of things we have built, yeah.
Definitely, the scalability is needed, you know, when you're looking at many documents to process and go through with that. So it sounds like a natural fit for Cortex and Snowflake. I wanted to ask also from a testing perspective and getting confidence, do you guys have developed any type of testing patterns, maybe running documents 2 different ways and then comparing the results at the other end? How do you think about that to get confidence on the quality of the output?
Yeah, so both internally and externally, we do motivate people on this philosophy of bringing in your most complex and diverse documents, and then systematically. So if you might already have your own metric suite or benchmarks, so we encourage you to apply them if you are very confident that, okay, this is a good measure of the kind of documents that you are bringing. But then, as I said, always the encouragement is, instead of like looking, so I showed you the error analysis slide, right? So metrics give you a direction and a hint and certain confidence on the level of performance, especially accuracy or whatever you want to call it, F1 score, distance metric, edit distance or whatever. But beyond that, like there are some critical, not just edge cases, but critical kinds of structures and documents and layouts where your thing is probably going to be failing, and those might be extremely critical for you. You know, every year, trillions of dollars get wasted in downstream document processing, where millions is just per organization wastage. And if you club it, it's like trillions of dollars annually in downstream document processing. And that happens because the origination point is flawed itself, which means that JSON that you saw, the structured output that you see from parsers is flawed and lacking and not accurate to begin with. So that is why when you feed this inaccurate data with missing context into these downstream processing engines or workflows, then you struggle really bad and really hard and you lose a lot of money. And that is, like, you can check the statistics on that, like trillions of dollars per year and millions of dollars per organization per year. So that only happens because people sometimes capitulate on metrics and benchmarks, and they miss out all these important foundational pieces which are very critical to their business success. So this is why, like I'm saying, like thinking from first principles, and then like really like doing error analysis, and then thinking about like what are the array of formats that you can curate and then test and even eyeball with, and then apply the most suitable metrics for those formats, and then systematically, you know, cover that spectrum and see where things are getting missed and what is the business impact of whatever you have missed, right? So this is like a recipe in general at a high level that I always encourage people to adopt. But to answer your question, we are coming with Doc vQ&A soon, like a couple of weeks at max. And then we already have some internal benchmarks. There are some public benchmarks available for ADE, but I would take them with a grain of salt. But yeah, when customers ask us to compare us with some frontier LLMs or some open source models, we do go and use their metrics and apply them all these on these LLMs as well as ADE, and then compare and contrast, right? So this is what we internally do, but yeah.
Ankit, I'll also mention we do have confidence scores as an experimental feature.
Yeah.
So I'll put the link to that in the chat as well.
Didn't highlight that in the session today, but maybe for the next workshop. Confidence scores is experimental as of now, but soon it will not be. It will be like a full-fledged feature where we will ourselves be super confident to say that these confidence scores are actually valuable and accurate, right? But for now, since our confidence is not supreme, we say that it's experimental.